This is cool.
Very.
Mike Rust,
Tiger,
welcome
how
to
are
the
you?
Zen One Pod. I'm
I,
doing great.
I've already broken your rule about not talking on top of you, so sorry about that.
It's all good. I haven't seen you in 2 years, so I'm so excited to catch up. The only problem, we have like 5 minutes to do so. And then
Which
we'll
is,
do part two.
yeah, sounds good.
Part
Go
two.
ahead. Sorry.
It's all good. So, Mike, just for those that don't know, Mike Rust is with a company called ProEdge, which is one of the leaders in water treatment lines in making sure that your water line stays safe. And Mike is a regional sales manager that oversees the part of the country that we don't want to talk about. So, Mike, what's new in the waterline business?
Tiger, great to see you. Been way too long, and yes, if we only have 5 minutes, that's
Just kidding. We got
I only
25.
have 4 minutes of knowledge to share, so I'll get right
All right,
to it.
let's pack it.
The big news is on Halloween of 2022. The CDC issued a health advisory network that said there's been a new outbreak that nobody knows about. It's a big one. Nobody knows where it is. Another Mycobacterium abscessus outbreak where a bunch more healthy children got sick.
Oh, shit.
And yeah, and and so therefore, they put a health advisory network out. A lot of state dental boards did some proactive things. The ADA sent out a morning huddle saying, be ready. And then it was on NBC News and Fox News and all the major news networks. So now patients are going to be asking dental offices, hygienists and assistants questions about how safe the water is. And
Hmm.
our friends need to be, ready to confidently answer those questions. So there's just awareness being created that dental water lines are hopefully, or could be a health risk to the general population if they're untreated and untested. So it's a good time to start testing and treating. Most of your customers and clients are already on board because you've been a leader in educating them in this category. So, but
Yeah, we always try to
awareness is
push the compliance part.
yeah,
Hmm.
awareness is growing, and so yeah, our phones have been ringing, and
Uh,
there's
yeah, just quickly on that, what do you think happened? Did you say that it was an outbreak that caused that, or it was the new CDC guidelines that pushed that, like, or one came after the other?
one came after the other. What so uh, First of all, we didn't think dental unit water lines, contaminated dental water, could be a health risk to the general population. We knew it could be a health
Right.
risk to immunocompromised patients. There was some data that showed there was a woman in Italy who had died from Legionnaire's disease, but she was old, frail, immunocompromised, right? She wasn't healthy. But what happened in 2015 is 35 healthy kids in Atlanta got sick from a routine pulpotomy. And the very next year, 202 healthy kids got very sick in Anaheim, California from routine pulpotomies. And what happened
Hmm.
earlier this year, I'm going to speculate that it was probably something relatively similar to that because we think it was
Okay.
another outbreak. There's only three pathogens that grow in dental unit water lines: Pseudomonas, which causes flu-like symptoms and sends healthcare workers home; Legionella, right, which is what killed the woman in Italy, but is hard to test for; and this new one that we just learned about in the last few years, Mycobacterium abscessus, which is pretty nasty and requires lots of tough mitigation, including IV antibiotics. So they use the one for leprosy on a lot of these kids, and which that in itself has some tough side effects. So that most of the kids had to have at least one surgery. About half of them had two surgeries to get rid of the infection before it spreads from the mouth to the rest of the body. It's a nasty
Wow.
pathogen and
Yeah, that
scary,
sucks.
but there's
Yeah.
no need to freak out. I think if you're just getting started, it's time to start treating and testing your water. The state of Washington passed a law since the last time I saw you, Tiger. They require every dentist to test every water line every 90 days so that nothing happens in the state of Washington like this.
Every 90 days. So if I'm a dentist and I listen to this, I'm like, holy cow, when was the last time we tested the water lines? Where do I go? Is there like a recorded log file or something? Or if they're
Yeah.
customers of ProEdge, would they know that?
Yeah, or if they've been to our webinar, we do a webinar on the first Friday of every month. It's pretty well attended. It's pretty educational. And it's pretty fun. And you get a free hour of CE. So you can go to proedgedental.com and look for the webinar and sign up for that and get a free hour of CE and some free water testing and learn a little bit about it. By and large, more and more people are doing that. They're testing their water lines every quarter. If you're just getting started, it's not that. It's just, you can test your water yourself. There's new in-office water tests that you can do it yourself, or you can do a mail-in test to a lab like ours. And there's a couple other ones out there too. But
yeah. So from the product standpoint, like if I'm at the office and, like with the Great Resignation, maybe I had new people in the office in the last couple of weeks that are just joined my team, hypothetically speaking, right? What is there a binder that I go and see, like, when was the last time we tested water lines? Or would you recommend I just go into, like, I don't know, Darby Shine or DDS Dental or DC Dental, Dental City, and just buy this product like a in-office testing thing and then just get my water lines tested?
You're kind of asking two really good questions, Tiger. And
I do, yeah, sorry. Yeah.
No, that's okay. The first one is about testing your water, and which is part of the CDC guidance. Most of the equipment manufacturers have changed their instructions for use. So ADEC,
Okay.
Midmark, Dental East, all Forest, Beaver State, most of the major equipment manufacturers now say in their instructions for use that you should test your water every 90 days, doctor, and prove that whatever you're doing is working. They're doing that to protect themselves from liability. They don't want to get hauled into court if this happens again. And the CDC says it, the ADA says it now, the CDC keeps repeating it. You should be testing your water regularly, following the manufacturer's instructions for use, which for most of them say.
So it's 90 days.
Most of them say 90 days, right? So that's a good way to think of it. That's a good interval. We can wrap our heads around it. 4 times a year, we test our water, make sure it's safe. And if you pass that test, it kind of proves that your water's been safe for 90 days. So if you do that 4 times a year, you can sleep good at night knowing your water is safe. And when your water's safe, you're following the CDC guidelines and you're protecting your patients and your staff and yourself. But when you document it, which is the other question you ask, when you document that you passed a water test, now you're protecting your practice, your reputation, your business, and your exit strategy. If you want to sell that business someday, you want to be buttoned up on all things compliance. And most of your customers have a compliance consultant who comes in and trains them once a year on OSHA, HIPAA, CPR.
Oh, wow. They exist?
Right? They exist. They're all pretty much, it's a cottage industry, Tiger. There's not very many of them that are very big. And it's still mostly old fashioned in office. There's a couple of them that do it virtually. But OSHA training is required for every employee every year, right? So you got to be trained on the bloodborne pathogen standard, which is, so this kind of falls into that. That's a leftover from the last pandemic, right? So most dental offices in America have an OSHA book. It has a book with all their OSHA compliance documents. It's got all their material safety data sheets, or what the MSDs, the MSDSs that they used to call them. It's got all their documents, and they can put their water test records in there right next to their autoclave test records in there. When the inspectors
the sport test,
right? Water testing is going to become kind of as commonplace as sport testing. Just something we do. We take it for granted. It's not that big a deal. It's not that expensive.
Yeah, and the sport test is done once a week.
It is. And everybody's good at it. Everybody's pretty good at it, right? Hopefully, right?
Yep.
So that's it.
So
you want to You want to be buttoned up on that.
Uh-huh.
You want to be buttoned up on this, and you want to
Uh-huh.
document it. Document it to prove that you did it. It's not enough to say, "Oh, we went to our OSHA class every year." You have to have a document that says you went.
How do
You
you
got to be up.
document? Like, is there a test result that comes by mail if I do a mail-in test, or is there
Yes,
like if I do it in office? Do I take a picture of that thing and then just attach it to the log file, or like how do people do if it's in office?
the answers are yes, no, and yes. If I got your questions
Uh-huh.
in the right order. So yeah,
Okay, let's see.
no. So yes, document it. We have a log that's on our website, and you can get, and you just put it in your OSHA binder. Um,
Uh-huh.
and you just document. Today we tested, you know, operatory 1, 2, 3, and 4 with a combined sample, and they all passed. Or we tested them and they failed, so we shocked and we retested them and they passed. And if you do that, that's good enough. I think that's good enough for most states. I have learned that if you do it yourself with an in-office water test, ours is called Quick
Uh-huh.
Pass, and you take a picture of it and date and time stamp it, that's good enough to get your license back if you ever had it suspended. So we've learned that when there's been license suspensions, doctors have used this Quick Pass product, a photo of it, date and time stamped, sent it into the state dental board, and the state dental board said, okay, this is good enough for us to, good enough. It's good enough for us. But you also can do a mail-in test, and when you do a mail-in test, then it's third-party documentation. You get a record from the third party. We store ours in the cloud. We have a dashboard that you can view 24/7, and it makes it real easy. It's a little more high tech.
Yeah, I'm on your website. It says Quick Pass in-office testing log. So fill
Right.
out the entire line per test, use names, select combine, keep your log secure file for a minimum of 5 years.
Yeah, keep it for 5 years,
Yeah.
but we keep it forever on the mail-in side too. And you should just keep it forever. It's worth it.
Yeah.
It
I
proves.
kind of like the idea of mail-in test because then you get a certificate and you just stick it into the binder and you're good to go. Picture
You
you
know what?
might lose it.
And your customers like it too. They just kind of like the idea. The difference in price is essentially the cost to ship it to our lab overnight. Not
Yeah.
insignificant, but FedEx is pretty cheap. Cheaper than
Yeah, and if
not
you
really.
have patients, yeah, but if you have patients that are like that would ask questions, if now I'm gonna go to my dentist next time and I'll be this guy who will say, "Did you test your water lines?" They'll be like, "Who's this weirdo that never asked this question before?" And I'll
Yeah.
say, "Can I see it?" And if they show me a picture, now I have to dig into when did they take it? What's the actual date of that picture and all that stuff. But if they have a certificate that sticks on their window at the front door, like, hey, water lines were tested on October 31st,
Yeah.
2022. I'm good to go.
Absolutely. It's very true. You can go to our dashboard, see your
Hmm.
latest result, press print screen, right? And it's got the date and the results. You can put that up in your waiting room if you want to. It's probably not the most beautiful thing, but I love your idea of a certificate.
I have
We do.
designers that can help you, Mike. They can
No,
help
that's
you
we
make
need.
those
We work.
certificates a little bit better.
We need your
You know?
designers. We need your
Yeah.
designers. Our
Okay,
designers
cool.
are overworked.
Probably. We can help with that. Okay, so now every 90 days they test the waters. We figured out which one is the best. But then you guys also offer a ton of resources on your website, like webinars and Kellie, who couldn't join today, unfortunately, but we'll do part two that where Kellie will talk more about like what's going on in each office. But you guys offer a lot of resources. That's one thing I like about the ProEdge.
we it's a we just revamped our learning. We created a brand new learning center and expanded the content because it is needed. People are asking, and people like to learn in the privacy of their own computer. They'd rather more
In
people,
their
young people,
pajamas.
in their pajamas. But that's it. This is pajama learning, right? This is
Right.
right. Exactly. We learned that during COVID. We can get a lot. We can be pretty productive in our pajamas.
Yeah. 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 So it's cool that you guys, is it the same ProEdge
ProEdgeDental.com.
ProEdge,
Yeah. And there's a
and there's
whole new
Learn.
learning center, and it's pretty robust. And it used to be pretty robust, but it's a lot bigger in the last few months.
Look at
And
that. Buy
so
film, getting started. Shocking. Oh, I remember you and I did a podcast a while back about shocking the water lines. I want to go back and re-listen to that actually.
you know
Talk
what's
to expert.
there is one area where nothing has changed, Tiger.
Shocking.
There might be one new shock product that's been introduced to the market, but there's not a great one out there. There's not a magic bullet yet. You can use
That is shocking.
there's commercial there's commercial products, right? Well, all of which needs to be left in your water lines overnight. I think there's one that's faster than that, but they don't get that good of results. A lot of manufacturers have authorized the use of 1 to 10 sodium hypochlorite left in the lines for 10 minutes. So you can use household bleach diluted 1 part bleach, 10 parts water, leave it in 10 minutes, flush it out of there. And that is effective, but it's also fraught with potential for problems. You got to use it properly. So we have a video on how
Yeah,
to.
if some leftovers of bleach in the lines and then you get the patient, oh my God.
Or yeah, it's right. It's rare that there's a patient issue. It's really more equipment. People are concerned that
Yeah.
it's tough on equipment, but
Yeah.
most dental equipment manufacturers have at one time authorized the use of 1 to 10 sodium hypochlorite because it works. It's effective. It's also has to be used properly. So,
You
but
got it. You got it. Last question before I let you go. Pricing, since you're a regional sales manager, and I would be really curious to see. It seems like you now sell Quick Pass on directly on your website,
no, we don't.
or it's still better to go.
You can get a sample of it directly on our website.
Oh,
So
okay,
you
Sam.
can.
Okay.
So as a salesman, you can get it for free. But as a
Uh-huh.
salesman, if you want to buy it, that's okay with me. If you want to buy it,
Okay.
and you can buy it from all of your favorite suppliers, and you can
Okay. We won't list them.
use Zen to
Yeah.
shop around to get the best
Yeah.
price.
Who do you think will have the best price?
I will tell you, it varies from month to month and quarter to quarter because
Okay.
these distributors like Shine, Benco, Patterson, Darby, and all the other ones, whether they're, have salespeople outside, Burkhardt, Atlanta, Midwest,
Midwest.
or the some of the
Dental City.
Dental City, right, which is sort of a telemark. They have people on the phone like Darby, and there's a bunch of those around the country.
Yeah.
So my answer would be go to Zen and let them do the shopping for you, because it varies from quarter to quarter. Sometimes there'll be a special buy 3 get 1 free, or sometimes it's a buy 2 get 1 free. There was recently I saw some really good Black Friday specials or Cyber Monday
Wow.
specials, or
You do that too?
yeah, short term. Some people have a short term what they call a flash sale on it.
Uh-huh.
So
Got it.
I believe in loyalty. I love it when customers are loyal to me,
Yeah.
but I'm loyal to people whose price is pretty good too. So right, you have to
Yeah.
right. I'm not going to pay. I love my bicycle shop, and I buy all my stuff at the bicycle shop. But every once in a
Yeah. And you're
while,
big into mountain biking.
yeah. But once in a while, I notice, gee, your tire's more expensive here.
Right. But you're
So
like,
I'm a
I'm
jerk.
supporting
I'm a
this
jerk
guy.
too. I'm one of those crappy customers that says, you're a nickel high on this Quick Pass product here.
Yeah. Yeah. Mike, last question, I promise you. What are the dynamics or tendencies or interesting things that you've seen since you're on a sales site that DSOs do that private practices don't do?
That's the best question I've ever heard.
I
DSOs.
tried. I practiced.
No, that's really good. DSOs have a bigger target on their back. If you have 1,000 dental offices, you're 1,000 times more likely to get inspected, to have a complaint from an unhappy customer. And if you don't treat your patients, you don't treat your patients really great, you're more likely still to have the occasional customer complaint. What happened during COVID is that everybody got more anxious, patients got more anxious, and people were flipping out more often than they did before COVID. People would get scared for the silly reasons and run out of a dental office saying, why is that hygienist flossing her own teeth? We heard about it. And that caused a complaint that caused the Department of Health to come in and whatever. So
yeah, whatever.
They're more vulnerable. So DSOs are more vulnerable. DSOs, and you mentioned this earlier, Tiger, there's a lot of new faces in staffing. Staffing is an issue in 2022 and 2023. It's hard to get people. It's hard to keep people. It's hard to train people. So if you can build some compliance into a program and a product, that will help your people stay in compliance. DSOs have learned that they have a target on their back, and they are rushing to catch up. And some of the big ones, are trying to lead the charge to protect their patients, their practice, and their reputation, because theirs is a bigger reputation and a bigger business. So I would say awareness is being created. DSOs have a different set of headaches. It's hard to get that dental assistant who's only worked there a week to know about how to treat and test the water lines. It's harder. It's more difficult. And they have sometimes if they have more turnover, then training is an issue. Training and staffing is an issue.
Yeah, and I keep thinking about it. Like if I'm a dentist, do I keep in mind, do I remember all the time that we tested the water lines and support tests? Just like, hey, is it done or it's not done? It's done. And then if my assistant leaves and the new comes in, how do I know when it was the last time completed? So it's a big, I'm going to take a note on this. It's a pretty big issue, I think.
Yeah.
To truly stay compliant.
It is, and it requires constant surveillance and constant documentation. Right. And absolutely, you're right. And that way, and really, our goal is to help people sleep good at night, knowing that they're safe, their practice is safe, their reputation is safe, their business is safe.
Yeah.
And their patients.
It reminds me like there's a good practice that for business owners people recommend, and it will relate to dentists, is like if you have one office manager that does account payables, account receivables, have somebody else to reconcile your books at the end of the month. So like hire a service from your CPA that will go in and reconcile your QuickBooks with bank statements. That means it's not that you don't trust, you just have checks and balances. And that's where I do like this idea of like mail-in sport tests and mail-in Waterline tests, that you just have a third party making sure that it's done, and then you sleep well. Like you don't have to chase your dental assistant and say, is it done? It's not done. And again, I love dentals. I trust that 99.9% of them are great people. What I don't trust is when you have 120 new patients in one day, the water lines is not your top priority.
Absolutely.
And you might simply forget as a human being.
And it's human nature to forget as a human being.
Yep.
You've got priorities.
Yep.
This one can fall through the cracks as not a high priority. Totally understandable. And that is what happens. And so, let's make it as easy as possible for everybody. Right. And you're right about the third party validation. There is no substitute for it. The best protocol in the world is a mail-in sport test and a mail-in water test. Maybe not every time. In fact, if I was a dentist, I think I'd pre-test with the in-office ones. And if I pass, then I do the mail-in one because I'm testing with confidence. I'm knowing that I have a better shot. I don't want to spend the money to send it FedEx and then fail on 3 out of 9 units or something like that, which happens a lot. So we want to. Yeah. So you can use the in-office ones. Like I say, they're more economical because there's no shipping involved. And sometimes you can get them on sale, and that's where you come in, Tiger.
Yeah. And we don't have a sale on Zen, so interesting.
No, but you can.
We have good prices. We have good prices.
That's it. That you help people find the best price. That's
Cool. I'm going to leave the questions like how to do a quick in-office test and mail-in test in combination together, and how to shock the lines for the next call when we do with Kellie. I'm super interested. Anything else we need to talk?
No, that was really.
Any other new surprises? Cool. Straight to the point. Mike, I really appreciate you. This is great. Hopefully we'll talk in about a week or two.
It's so good to see your face and hear your voice, man. I was really worried I was really,
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
worried. Russia was on fire, and that was the last I
yeah,
heard.
yeah, yeah. No, luckily I'm here. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Tiger. Take care. Happy holidays to you.
Thank you.